Well, thanks so much for joining me and looking at this wonderful piece of Old Testament lore in Numbers chapter 11. I'm going to be looking at the whole chapter, and we know that the lectionary actually had us reading only a part of it. That's understandable. But let's launch into it. Well, we have something for everybody as it concerns great literature here. And I primarily want to talk about the artfulness of this piece of writing. And then a couple of points to note if you're thinking about preaching or teaching from this passage. If you look at it as a literary piece, it just absolutely sings. In fact, I spent several hours this week looking at this in Hebrew, and also a side glance at the Greek Septuagint translation. And I found myself every day being drawn back into it. And the more I explored the vocabulary and the grammar and the phrasing, the more enthralled I became. It's not at all like the parallel in Exodus. This is really dramatized reading. And when I say dramatized, I mean a couple of things. One is that these characters speak for themselves. I mean, the people, the riffraff, Moses, Yahweh. In speaking, we determine their character because that's how we chart characterization. You see, what happens is we look at how people act and talk. That establishes what we call their character. And we have full and complete characterization here of all of these actors on the stage. And so we have this scene shifting. Now it's the people, then it's Yahweh, then it's Moses, and back to the people, then back to Yahweh, then an epic speech by Moses, and then more action. It could be a film script without too much more difficulty other than the artfulness of making the film. The script is there. It's remarkable script. And one of the remarkable things about it is that Yahweh becomes a part of the striving on the level of human beings. Yahweh comes down and does a dance back and forth with these people and with Moses. We get, as a result, just massive emotions. Verbs concerning burning are rampant in this entire thing. Yahweh gets so burned up that he burns up the camp. And the people, in describing their situation, we have something, for instance, a very artful thing at a certain point. It's in verse 4, in fact, where we have a thing called Hendiadys, where we just have this brief introduction of two verbs, and you just have to do massive English translation to try to get the force of it. And in the first verb, it's return. And then in the second one, wailing or moaning or crying out. So you have to kind of be playful and think, okay, this is kind of like, yeah, and yet again, here we go. They start their wailing, that kind of thing. And you can really see how this is very likely an evidence of humor at the most base level. But we get the same kind of emotional description. Look at the speech of Moses back to God. Whoa, that's a zinger. Whoa, Moses puts himself in the position of, what, you're making me into the nurse of these people? You gave birth to them, and you're telling me that now I'm the nanny? I got to deal with these people? Pretty remarkable stuff. And so he says, look, if this is how you're going to treat me, just go ahead and kill me. And the verb there, by the way, is pretty dramatic. It's kind of what Israelites do to people whose territory they want to take. Just kill them out, like slaughter. Okay, God, this is what you're going to give me? Slaughter me. Go ahead. I dare you. That's pretty remarkable stuff. And then we have great imagery. Well, the chief one, of course, is manna. And I give you a little challenge. All you have to do is just simply go to Google and type in manna. You're going to see it's a massive response. It's become such a productive trope. What it's about is that it's a source of sustenance where there was none. And that imagery is just powerful. But that isn't the end of it. We get the kind of imagery that allows you to actually, in your own head, begin to kind of be there. Right now, it's salmon fishing where I live. And so let me tell you, when the writers have these rabble talking about what they missed from Egypt, they say, oh, remember the time all we had to do was to go down to the river and just throw in a line or a net, and we'd have wonderful fish to eat. And then they go through the list of the great delicacies that they were used to having on their table. And here, this is really interesting. Oh, remember the cucumbers? And how about the watermelon? And leeks, and for flavoring, onions and garlic. Now, we know that this is evocative, emotional, imagery-oriented writing, because these words, almost to a word, appear nowhere else. And they're not actually all that mysterious because of etymological research in loan words and that kind of thing. Well, Jeremiah talks about a field of cucumbers and that kind of thing, but these are used only one time. This tells you that these writers, these ancient writers, they're reaching right down into their socks because they want to evoke the imagery. If we preach about this in a way that's dull and unimaginative, well, think of what we've done. With regard to where we stand now in the history of our life and times, there's something in this for everybody. You've got the moaning of leaders dealing with whiners. You've got people who are finding manna in places they never thought they'd find them. We could go on. Let the imagery, let the artistry draw you into your own imagination, because you are warranted in doing that by the skill of artistic storytelling that we can nail to actual concrete evidence in the text. I really hope you'll have fun with this. Thanks for listening.